Good evening and welcome to another episode of Men, Mindset, and Meaning. I'm your host, Jerry Pope Jr. We are doing a special Father's Day episode of Fatherhood Unfiltered. This is part two. I do have the pleasure of, I wouldn't say interviewing, but asking some very interesting questions to my pastor, Pastor Brett Snowden. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I am doing excellent, and thank you for having me for this podcast.
And right on time. Also, my guest that's on today is Brother Jeff White. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Nice to see you, gentlemen.
Yes,
Good,
sir. Nice to
good.
see you as well.
I
Uh,
literally,
go
I
ahead.
literally just finished working out with my son. Literally, we literally just finished.
Well, that's a good segue.
Exactly.
So, I wanted to do this because I want to give men, especially black men, an opportunity to speak their piece on fatherhood because nobody really gives us an opportunity to say how we feel. And fatherhood is like often celebrated for the highlights, like the smiles, the accomplishments, the family photos. But today I want to get to the parts that don't always make it to like social media. So the fears, the regrets, the lessons, sacrifices, and like the victories that have shaped the fathers that we are today. So again, this is Fatherhood Unfiltered, part two. I got it broken down in different segments. So I'm gonna bounce around a little bit because there's quite a few questions, and I know we're not gonna get to them all, but I want y'all to be able to speak freely. So the first segment is called Becoming a Father. And the question that I have is, what was your honest reaction when you found out you were going to be a father?
Hmm. That's a very good question, and it calls for us to rewind the mind all the way back there. Well, when I first received the news that I was going to be a father, I was happy to hear the news that I was going to be a father. I did not know what that meant. I did not know what was really going to be required of me. I just knew I was going to be a father and that I would support my wife, throughout the pregnancy and really just play it day by day and see what would happen.
Okay. What about you, Jeff?
My story is much different, honestly, because Monica and I have been married. We got married, and we were married for 7 years. And I always wanted to have kids. I wanted to have two kids. And we were married for 7 years, and she could not have kids. And
Mm.
so we have resigned ourselves to the fact that we will never have any children. We're just
Mm.
gonna grow old together. So to make a long story short, she went to a different doctor, and they found out that she had fibroids, and
Mm.
she had the fibroids removed. And a short time later after that, she got pregnant. So for me to be a father is like the ultimate blessing. So my mindset is totally different from a lot of other people. We had wanted for so long, we couldn't have it, and then we finally got it. It was just like, oh, I can't mess this up. I am determined to be the best father I can be. And on another note, I never had a father, and so I grew
Mm.
up with that anger and bitterness of not having a father and watching my mother take care of me by herself all those years. And so I vowed, if I ever become, she's listening, if I ever become a father, I'm going to be the best father I can be. And so I have that motivation even to this day. And he's 14. And I still carry that fire inside of me, the thankfulness of being a father, the thankfulness of having the opportunity to be a father, and the determination and desire to be the father I never had. So my motivation is like on a whole nother level compared to a lot of other people, and I'm thrilled. It's a challenge. Let's not pretend it's not a challenge, but I am so determined and fired up to be the best I can be because I know what it's like to not have a father, and I know what it's like to want to have kids, but you couldn't for years. And you
Mm,
finally get the chance, and I'm not gonna blow it. So
mm,
that's my motivation. That's how I think about being a father.
mm. But Paul, can I ask him a question?
Sure.
So Jeff, what's interesting in what you said was that you didn't have a dad, and so how was your experience as a child and growing up? Were you angry? Were you bitter? Um, what was it like not having a dad?
Honestly, pastor, I have to remind myself you're a pastor, and you are my church brothers. But I had rage. I was enraged. I had anger and bitterness for years, years, and to this day, I still don't like him. I met him once when I was 12, and he came by the house, and he stayed for a minute, and that was my first and last time ever seeing him. And
Really?
I still have a little resentment towards that, because it's like, how could you do that? I'm your child. I don't know the situation between him and my mother. I don't know, but at the same time, if you got a boy, boys need their fathers. Boys need their fathers, and even if you just come around, just talk to me, you know, give me some kind of guidance or something. Thankfully, I
Hmm.
had uncles, but ain't nothing like having a father. There's
Hmm.
nothing like having a father. So I was angry for years, and my mother tried to get me to let it go, but I watched her struggle, and I ain't like it. And I had questions as a man growing up on the south side of Chicago as a boy, and it wasn't easy. I needed that male guidance, like, teach me something, teach me something, and I wanted that from a male perspective, and I never got it. Well, I got it from my uncles, but I didn't get it from my father, and that
Hmm.
bothered.
That was a good question too. I would say for me, the first reaction was excitement because I've been married before, and that's a whole nother subject for another day. But we couldn't have children because she dealt with fibroids, So I understand that struggle.
Hmm.
Um,
Mhm. Right.
got to the point where she had to have a partial hysterectomy, so that kind of just killed all the whole momentum for that. But then once me and Keisha got married, and after I've gone through divorce and taking the time to actually pray about getting married again, we tried. We had y'all know about the miscarriage in January from last year. So at that point, we had kind of made up in our minds that that was it. If it happens, it happened. It don't. We can't say we didn't try.
Hmm.
So when we got the news that she was pregnant this go round, I was overjoyed. I was excited. If I knew how to moonwalk correctly without falling, I probably would have done that. Uh, I can't backflip. I probably broke my neck. So, needless to say, I was very excited. But that
Hmm.
was my initial response to it. So, good answers. All right. So, let's get a little bit deeper. Did becoming a father change your identity? If so, how?
That's a very good question, and I ponder over it because I'm not sure. I don't think it changed my identity. It changed my way of living,
Mm,
um, because I knew that I had a major responsibility that I had brought into the world, and I think my religious background and family kind of pushed that along. Um, but I don't think it changed my identity. It just don't. The new identity was, you're a dad, and that there was major responsibilities that went along with that. And as Brother White said earlier, I didn't have the greatest childhood. And my father was present. He paid the bills. He was there, but he was an alcoholic, and he was abusive verbally and
Mm.
um, emotionally. And so, when you go through situations like that, that's why I asked Jeff earlier about how he felt, that you kind of make up in your mind that I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to repeat the cycle, and I'm going to be a better father than my father. And I don't even know if that's disrespectful, but because my father did provide for I have five. Well, I have four siblings, and he provided for us, and I can't say I ever missed a meal or anything like that. But I played sports, and he was never there. When I got called into the ministry, he was not there. And I feel like what I decided to do was I wanted to be present for my child and my children. And so didn't change my identity, it just changed my lifestyle and my priorities.
Gotcha.
For me, it was the priorities, because I'd always wanted to be a dad, and I envisioned what it would entail. So I wanted to be an active father. That was the only thing that changed, was I couldn't do some things that I used to do. I give you an example. I did triathlons for 20 years, literally. And when little Jeffrey came, I put that on the side because I want to focus on helping raise him. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do triathlons for, oh, about 8 years or so. I'm trying to get back into it now, but that was just one example of a sacrifice that I wanted to be here for him, to help him, with schoolwork, and pick him up and take him where he needed to go, because the mother can't do everything. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to be active and present with him when he was young. And even like on Saturdays, because Saturdays was my big training day back in the day. Well, Saturday mornings, man, I would take him to the beach, or take him to the park. So that was for me, the it was just the lifestyle change, but I wanted that change. But you're gonna have to make some sacrifices, and you have to be willing to do it, and not do it grudgingly, because um on a side note, I know one thing with me, that I distinctly remember little things when I was a kid that an adult may not even think is a big deal. But it's those little things that the kids remember, that you think I'm just going through the motions, but it means a lot to them. And so I think about that when I do things with him also. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's just the sacrifice of time and priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say for me, my identity didn't change. I'm pretty much kind of like both of you. It just the responsibility changed. The title is different now. So it's not just, you know, husband. Now I'm also a father. So I mean, I've been blessed to have both my parents, and they're still together to this day. They just celebrated their 45th wedding anniversary on the 6th of this month. So I have been fortunate enough to actually see how my father, raised me. Like I seen how he treated my mother. So I learned a lot. So when it came time for me to be a father, everything that I remember from what he did for me and my mother, that just kind of surfaced when it was now my turn.
Mm-hmm.
So my identity didn't change, not at all. Not the duties have changed a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much the only thing that really changed. All right, good questions and answers. I'm loving it. Now, if you could go back and talk to yourself before your first child was born, what would you say?
Jeff, I'll let you go first this time.
Boy
Pastor say,
moonwalk on
get
that
on
one.
out there. Pastor say, go
Yeah.
on.
On that one.
um, oh, yeah, that's a tough one. Um, Patience. Have
Mm,
more patience because with a child, I mean, they're literally a blank canvas. And for me, it's like you have to teach them everything, everything. Things that you take for granted, they don't know. And you
Mhm.
have to have the patience to just say, no, you can't put that there. You have to do it this way. You have to explain it because
mm,
they don't know. That was the biggest thing for me. It's like, how do you not know this? He's 4. He's not gonna know this. Relax. It's okay. It's your job to teach. They are literally like a blank canvas, and they don't know. And they say the phrase "common sense" isn't so common, and it's not in a disrespectful way, but kids just don't know. And it's up
yeah.
to you to teach them what's right and what's wrong, and just how to do things. I
Mhm.
remember one time Jeffrey was running in the field, and he was running full speed, and he didn't notice that it was like dips in the grass, and he just running, and he just went fell on his face. I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, this ain't gonna end well. He better slow down, but he didn't. And then
Mhm.
one time he's riding his bike and he, went into the sewer. you know, I'm like, if you see that hole, you gotta go around it. You can't
Right.
just go over. There's little things like that you have to be patient. And the questions, they will ask you so many questions about everything, and you have to just sit back and just patiently answer the
Mhm.
questions because they genuinely don't know, and they are
Mhm.
looking to you for guidance and teaching them. And you think, okay, you should know this, but they don't know. And you have to be mentally prepared to just sit back and just answer questions patiently because they do not know. And you can't get mad at them because
Mhm.
then if you do that, then they'll get self-conscious and maybe not want to ask you questions at all. So you have to
Mm.
just be patient. The patience is the most important thing. That's what I tell
I,
myself. You gotta be patient.
I ditto everything Jeff just said. It's really, I would have probably needed to tell myself to have a little bit more patience too, and particularly when it gets to the re-questioning and the re-questioning, it's like, oh my goodness, how many times do I have to answer this question? And so I think that would be the number one priority for me is just to ask God to give me more patience um, with my children.
Yeah, I think.
And
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and from a parent perspective, you worked all day, you're tired, you just want to come home and relax, and they happy to see you, and they will
Hmm.
talk a mile a minute, and
Hmm.
you cannot push them kids away. You can't.
That's right.
They are happy to see you. Your world revolves around them in their
Hmm.
mind. And I distinctly remember when I was little, my mother would come home from work. I knew she was tired, but I'm little, I don't know. And I was just follow her around the house, just talking to her, telling her about my
Hmm.
day, how excited I am. And she had to pretend she was happy. Because if she wasn't, then that would hurt my feelings. And I'd be like, she
Exactly.
don't love me no more. you know, the
Exactly.
patience is so important. So Jerry, you're gonna learn that. The patience. You gotta have that patience, let them talk. And it's little things like that they're gonna appreciate when they get older.
Well,
Yeah.
even saying that, I have three grandchildren, and they're all girls. One's 19, one's 12, and one's 7. And the
Hmm.
one who is 7 literally calls me every day,
Hmm.
and it's it is the same thing. What you doing? you
Hmm.
know, and same thing we talked about yesterday. But she just needs to check in with me, and sometimes she calls at the most, you know, worst times that she could possibly be. But I just think it's really, really important to answer that call because it
Hmm.
means the world to her to talk to her grandfather. And
Hmm.
again, that even still now, I'm still working on this patience area.
Hmm.
One thing with me is I have Oh, by the grace of God, have already learned patience because y'all talk about the questions. Y'all already know I got an inquisitive wife.
Hmm.
Yes,
Well,
that's patient.
I think we could all say amen to that.
Hey man, that's a whole nother topic, and
Uh-huh.
I'm not going there. But I give you amen. I agree 100%, and I co-sign everything you say, everything you thinking,
That's
and
right.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Because honestly, like when I come home from work now, a lot of times it's almost like I'm a magnet for my daughter.
Right.
So I immediately want to see her. She see my face, it just lights up. She's all gums, and I love it. So it's just like, and then and then Keisha's like, hello, I'm sorry, how you doing? How was your day? Give me my baby.
Hmm.
So I look forward to it, and I pray by the time she gets to the point where she's asking 1,001 questions, I'm already working for myself, so I don't really have to worry about the coming home from work aspect because I'll be there.
Hmm.
But I can go back and tell myself just do what you know how to do, and whatever you can learn along the way, whether it be from others, whether it be from trial and error, because sometimes that's the best learner right there, best way to learn. Um, like just getting wisdom from elders.
Hmm.
I've never shied away from anybody who's older than me because they have more wisdom than me. I was always around older people because they got they have good information. So I've never been one of those where you had to tell me be quiet because adults are talking. No, I'm listening.
Hmm.
If y'all talking about something that ain't interesting, I'm going on about my business. But if y'all talking
Hmm.
about something that will be beneficial to me, I'm all ears. So just the only thing I tell myself is learn what you can, ask whatever questions you can,
Hmm.
and I believe having a daughter is going to teach me even more patience because it's not like boys. They ask questions and they go out, run, get hurt. Most time they shake it off. Girls is another subject because you got to make sure you there to pamper and baby, kiss all the boo boos and make sure it's okay. And real quick, Keisha always see these videos where it's the fathers and daughters and they doing like tea time or something like that, or they putting little bedazzles all over their face. She's like, "You ready for that?" I said, "I'm all for it. She want to do it. Let's go."
Hmm.
Paint nails is coming off immediately afterwards, but she can go ahead.
Right.
So it's just I want to be that girl dad that just does whatever. Make sure I still teach her right from wrong, but still not down whatever she wants to do, whatever brings her joy. So if it's putting little stickers all over my face, I don't care. Go ahead. So, but yeah,
Hmm.
just that's just one of the parts that I was thinking of. All right, we're gonna slide into the second segment. This one is called the hard truth.
Hmm.
Oh, no, Jeff. So I'll probably repeat the question whenever he pops back in. But
Okay.
have you ever felt like you were failing as a father? If so, what happened?
Okay. So, for a disclaimer, this this is my second marriage. This is Lady's second marriage as well. And so I brought two girls into the marriage, and she brought two boys into the marriage. And so we obviously are a blended family. And so, as it related to my daughters, I would sometimes think I failed only because I wasn't present all the time because I was working a full time job. I was still going to seminary school, and the church I was pastoring at the time was two hours away from home. So I had to be gone, from Friday to Sunday. And so I
Mm.
felt like I was failing in the sense of not being present. Um, However, the shift came when we got married and we both brought two children, to make a blended family. And, I think it's easier for girls to adapt. And that may not be the case in all the time. But I was feeling I was failing as a father, or at least a stepfather, um, when our oldest boy, he just rebelled against everything. And the
Right.
reason was because for several years, he was the oldest boy, and he felt as though he was the man of the house. That's what he felt. But he had his own definition of what man of the house meant. And so when I came along, it was like I was taking his place. And I wasn't trying to take his place. I wasn't trying to be his dad. I was just trying to be married to his mom and to be responsible for the blended family. And I'm telling you, for the first probably 2 years, it was like hell on earth in
Mm.
trying to manage and trying to be respectful. You're talking about patience. I had to have a lot of patience during that time. It was just a very, very poor time in my life. I think not only my life, but his mom's life and the other children too, because the whole house would be upset all the time because of one who wanted to just show himself. And of course, he was a teen too. So you know,
Mm.
looking back retrospect, I do kind of understand it. But it took him the longest time to accept me as his mom as his mom's husband. And so those are the times where I felt that no matter what I said, no matter what I did, what approach I took, it seemed like it was never good enough. And so I felt like I was failing. And I felt like I was failing Lady, and I thought I was failing the rest of the children as well.
All right, just so you know what we asking, I said, have you ever felt like you were failing as a father, and if so, what happened?
um, you always feel you can do better. You can be a better role model. You can be a better provider. You always feel you can do better. I think that's just the man in you, because, and that's something that isn't talked about enough. As men, we have so much responsibility on our plates because it's up to us to take care of the household, to manage the household, to manage the personalities, and make sure everything goes smooth. And if it don't go smooth, it's all on us. So we have that behind the scenes pressure as men to take care of our house, and we all think we can. I think we all think we can do better. We all could handle the situation better. So for me, it's a general thing that I even ask myself to this day. Can I do better? What can I do better?
Mm-hmm.
Have I failed in any way raising him, and just as a husband and as a father? So it's just I don't think it's never. I think it's never ending. That you, just as a man, you want to do what's right for your family. If you see your child upset, or they're not talking to you, like, okay, am I doing something wrong where he doesn't want to talk to me? He's not opening up. He's just a kid. Some kids just don't want to talk. But as a father, you think to yourself, okay, he should be able to come talk to me about anything. But
Mm.
sometimes they have their own personalities and they just don't want to talk. Hey, how was your day? Good. Okay,
Yeah,
can you
one
give
word
me a little
answer.
bit more? It was
Yeah.
good. Okay. And with It's like, okay, well, he don't want to talk to me. That's what it is. He don't like me no more. You
Hmm.
have those little crazy thoughts in your head. The
Right.
kids, and I did the exact same thing to my mother. I did the exact same thing, and I didn't think nothing of it. I just didn't feel like talking. Had nothing to do with her. But in my mind as a parent, I'm like, okay, what is going on here? Is something going on with him that he don't want to tell me? He just don't want to talk to me. Am I getting on his nerves? You had these little thoughts in your head, and it sometimes it's all in your mind, and they ain't even
Hmm.
thinking about you. They just thinking
Hmm.
about their game or their TV or whatever. They ain't even thinking about you, but in your mind, it's like, okay, I need everything to run perfectly. And unfortunately, with life, it never runs perfectly. You just got to
Right.
go with the ebbs
That's
and tides and just go with it. So
that's
basically, you can beat yourself up with those thoughts, and it can wear you down physically, mentally, spiritually, even financially, because it can affect you on your job. But you gotta block it out and just do the best you can do at the present time, and that's
Mhm.
it. And let the chips fall where they may, and just hope that if you can look back and say I did the best I could, that's it. That's all you
that's
can
right.
do. But you gotta try to do the best you can, and that's how I look at it now. And even to this day, I still had that trouble when I asked him how he's doing. He said good. It's like, okay,
Right.
give me more than that. How was your day?
Right.
Okay, okay, fine. All right, you don't want to talk. I get it. It's okay. I'm not gonna take it personal. But that's how I look at it. It's like, okay, I just gotta go with the flow. I can't control how people think. I can't control their reactions. I can just control how I think and how I feel. And if I feel I'm doing the best I honestly can, that's all I can do.
Hmm. And I think there's a little bit of pride that goes into that as well. That we as men, we always want to be batting 1,000.
Hmm.
And even if they tell us that we're doing 995, we say that's all. And we just keep going higher and trying to reach that goal. But we also have to remember that we're humans as well. And
Hmm.
and I said this the other night in Bible class, and that is that regardless how old our children become, we set up a blended family where we want our children to be able to come and talk to us about anything, even as adults. The oldest is 40 and the youngest is 33. And they come to us to this day and say, like there are certain times when they say, we need to speak to him. And then there's other times they say, well, we'll speak to both of you, which is good. Um, but it's that you just always feel like you can do better, and that we just put pressure on ourselves that's unnecessary as well.
Hmm.
Sure.
Agreed.
Um, I can't say at any point. Well, I think it's just more so me and how I feel. The only way I can say I feel like I'm failing as a father is because I don't have enough time to spend with her like I
Hmm.
want to.
Hmm.
Man, you at the point now, you changing diapers. That's if you don't change the diaper properly, that's your failure. You got a long way to go.
Hey,
Oh,
hey, and he
If
don't
you
even,
didn't birth
yeah,
her properly, you didn't
and he
birth
don't
her.
e-
That's
and
your
he don't even
failure.
have to change diapers. It's Pampers now.
I have I have had plenty of practice changing diapers. I was a
Yeah.
young I was a young uncle. My brother is
Say
20 years older.
the food didn't go down and it went down the chin. That's your failure. You got to scoop it. That's your failure right now. You got time. You got time for
Ain't that food
failure.
yet. Ain't that food yet. But I think I mastered how to get her to go to sleep when she fussy though.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay,
do
there you
that.
go.
So, like I said, it's a learning process.
Every
But
stage.
because it's like she's with she's with my wife pretty much all day Monday through Friday. Like I
Hmm.
try to make sure I do my part when I come home from work. I have her for the rest of the evening, and then the weekends I got her all day. So I'll work all day, like tomorrow, work out, work my job, get off. I come home, she's with me pretty much up until Sunday night. So we still together and we in the house and all that. But no, if I'm going somewhere, she with me. When we got choir rehearsal, she ride with me. So, I got her sun up to sundown. If Keisha's upstairs asleep and we both up, we'll come downstairs, we'll sit down here, watch TV till we both go to sleep. She needs to do work. Me and her jump in the car, we're gone. Don't ask me
Hmm.
where we going, just bye.
Hmm.
So I say I want to have more time because I feel like working so much and being away from her is where I miss certain things. And I don't want to get so entrapped in work where when she starts walking, I'm not there. So that's why I like the fact that me and Keisha came up with a whole plan to be entrepreneurs and not work for anybody. So I plan to actually like fully pull away and retire from like the corporate world, so to speak, before I'm 50.
Hmm.
So I'm making sure that I do everything I can to get this podcast going. I DJ also, so I'm putting myself out there that way. I still make beats, I'll sell beats, whatever the case is, just to make sure that whatever I'm doing can fully replace what I'm making. So that I can all that stuff I can do that from the comfort of home. I don't have to go nowhere. So that's why I want to be able to provide the best way I can. That's my fear of failing her is not being able to provide. All right, good answers. Loving it, loving it. All right, we shall move on. Let's see. What wound from your childhood still affects the way you parent today? Oh yeah, I told y'all we gonna get into these. These some good questions here.
Hmm. What wound? I think for me, repeat the question again. I got the first part.
What wound from your childhood still affects the way you parent today?
Okay, so for me, I mentioned earlier about the emotional and the physical abuse.
Mm,
Those wounds are still there, and I didn't realize it until maybe a month ago when I was what we came one Sunday after church. We came home and I was flipping around and Fences came on. And
Oh, that's a
you all
good
seen the
movie.
movie Fences
Oh
with
yeah.
Denzel,
Oh my God. Yeah,
and
that's a good movie.
everything was about, well, I provide for the family. This is my house. You do as I say. And a lot of what was going on in that movie, that dynamic was what was happening for me as a child. And
mm,
so the wound for me is that um, I've always done my best not to parent that way. I'm cognizant of the fact not to to yell at the children. I don't think I've ever yelled at the children. I haven't been. I don't believe I've been emotionally abusive, and I know I haven't been physically abusive with them whatsoever. And I think that that just lingers over me to make me cognizant of that's not what you should do as a parent, and particularly as the father.
mm,
And so, I didn't know that the wounds were still there until I just couldn't take that movie no more because he was awful, and it just resonated so much about my childhood. And I'm the middle child, so I'm the oldest boy, and so I took the brunt of all of that. So that wound helps me be effective, as a father, being patient, being very conversational and communicative with our children, and just being there for them. And as we have this term called, well, actually the chaplains have it, I borrow it, called the ministry of presence. And that's just being there. And sometimes being there doesn't mean I need to say anything. Sometimes being there is just being there, and that's what you need.
mm.
Um,
I- Yeah, I would say you kind of touched on a lot of it, Joe. But
Yeah, I
it's
did.
question.
I did in the beginning. I did. So
Yeah.
basically, what I do purposely is I talk to him and tell him things I wish my father would have told me when I was younger.
Hmm.
Um, for example, I like business and entrepreneurship and stuff like that. So when he was younger, during the pandemic, we set up online courses, like children's online courses, and he would help me do it. And I kind of taught him like entrepreneurship and
Hmm.
we buy silver coins. So I told him about silver coins and little stuff like that. And I just told you guys that we just did a workout. So he's excited about lifting weights. He's 14, so he's ready. So that's the kind of stuff that I wish someone would have taught me when I was younger. And so that's pretty much where I am. And so basically, I do with him again what I wish my father could have done with me when I was that age, because I needed that guidance. And I would always tell him, man, if I had my father tell me what I tell you right now, by the time I would be 20, I'd be I'd be set because I'm teaching you things I wish I would have known that I needed to know at the time. I didn't know I needed to know that. And as I
Hmm.
look back, they're like, wow, what trajectory could my life have gone on if someone would have just took me to the side and say, look, this is something you need to know. This is something that could help you. Would I listen? I don't know. But if you plant that seed in my head, at least I would know. So I gotta wait till I'm 45 years old to figure something out that I should have learned when I was 15. That ain't cool.
Right. Right.
That's not
Right.
cool. And you look back and like, man, if someone could have just at least told me about this, so by the time I'm in my 20s, I could have, had a step ahead. But nope, didn't have that. So
Hmm.
that's what I do. That's how I look at it. That's something I focus on.
And so, and let me just add this in too. On the flip side of things, that there are a lot of things my father did not teach me, but I learned through observation.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
one of the things he really taught me was you get up and you go to work every day and you provide for your family. That
Like
was
it or not.
a silent conversation, but I learned that from him how to be disciplined. He paid the bills on time and he had everything laid out. And I know I picked up that gift from him without us ever having a conversation about it whatsoever. I learned the skill of cooking just observing my mom. I never picked up a pan. I never tried to make eggs. I never tried that, but I just sat there and just watched and just soaked it all in. And then so there's a lot of things that we learn unconsciously, and then when you get older, you say, you know what? Where did this come from? And it came through observation and not conversation.
Mm. Yeah, I would say I learned a lot from observing my father as well. Like I when it came down to trying to like when it came down to cooking, I asked questions. I was like, I want to try that, and then taught me whatever it is I wanted to learn. So I didn't really have. I wouldn't say I had any like wounds for real as a child. I mean, I had moments of where I felt like I wasn't getting like the proper attention. It's just always, is your homework done? Is your room clean? Did you take a bath? Right, the just the usual stuff. My father's, he was military, so everything had to be a certain way. But I would say the lack of actual affection from both my parents, because like they say, they work all day. They come home, I'm like, listen, I want to tell you about this. I want to tell you about that. They was just like, I'm tired. So it wasn't give me a minute and we could talk about it. It was just, all right. So I started writing poetry when I was young. But
Hmm.
one thing I always said is whenever I have a child, you want to talk about it, let's sit down and talk. Because I wasn't heard as a child. So I want to make sure that my daughter feels seen and heard So I don't care what you want to talk about. If you want to talk about how one of your nails broke because you, I don't know, did whatever. I don't care. You want to talk about it? Let's talk. So I guess you can kind of say that would be a wound because it's lack of affection. But now when I have my daughter, I hug her all the time. She's always in my arms, on my lap. Like I kiss her on the cheeks, forehead, just to kind of continuously show her that affection.
Hmm.
So that would be one way that affected the way I parent. All right, so we're gonna slide into segment
Hold
three,
on,
which
I got a funny story. I got a funny story.
go
Kind
ahead.
of talking about Pastor, talking about he, cooking. So my mother used to cook every day, right? I grew up in that old school house. She cooked every
Right.
day,
Every
and
day.
I'm gonna tell you, I love McDonald's when I was little, but we can only go once a week. So I didn't like her for that. I can only drink soda once a week, and so I didn't like that. I thought she was the meanest person in the world. So fast forward, I start getting that exercise and start eating healthier and stuff. I started to appreciate it more. So I go to college, and I come back home from college, and I'm like, Mom, what's for dinner? She's like, Well, I'm having fish. I'm like, So you ain't cooking for me no more? She's like, No. But luckily, I watched her cook all those years. So I was like, you know what? I know how to cook. I got this. And so, like you Pastor said, just by watching and
Right.
appreciating
Exactly.
home cooking. So I thought that was funny. She was like, I'm having fish. I'm like, oh, so it's like that now? You don't cook for me no more? So that watching, you pick up stuff when you watch them. And that's just one thing I picked up. I thought that was funny. And so even to
Yeah.
this day, I prefer home cooking over fast food. And Jeffrey's the same way. So I'm so happy about that.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, so this segment is about manhood and fatherhood. So my question is, what does being a good father mean to you beyond simply providing financially?
I think again, I keep using this term, the ministry of presence. I am just like overjoyed that if I didn't tell you, most people would not know that we're a blended family because God has blessed us where He's blended our family. And so the girls and the boys, they get along fine. We all get along fine. We love each other. We respect each other. We honor each other. And just to know that they will come to me, they'll call me. Sometimes Quentin lives down in Fort Myers. He'll drive up just to have a conversation about something that he's really wrestling with at that time. And whenever they pick up the phone, they do the FaceTime and they say, I need to talk. They do the same with lady, and like I said, some conversations are between the men, and some are between the ladies, and then some of them are just open conversations. But I think it's more than just provision. It's about really, like you say, demonstrating love, teaching some of the values. I think praying over their lives, which is so important, which I do every day. All of that is really, really important of being a father. It's not just about how much what I can put on the table, but it's about how much love can I demonstrate to our children, and they understand that that lady is first, and they fall underneath her, and they've come to honor that and come to respect that as well. So it's just a joy to know that your kids they grow up, they're responsible, they're respectful and all, but to know that they will come to you, and not just for money, because we got a standard with that as well. They come for advice on how do I get through this hurdle in my life, and I think that that's really, really important.
Right.
Giving instruction.
For me, it's all about just giving guidance. I mean, ever
Mm-hmm.
since he was little, I talked to him like I didn't talk to him like he was a kid. I mean, there's some topics we never discussed, but I didn't talk to him like he was a kid. And
Mm-hmm.
I taught him straight, how life is, how the world is, how some people are. When he overhears, conversations in the family, I'll pull them to the side and say, "Hey, this is what was going on. These are the mistakes that was made, and this is something that I need you to be aware of, so you don't follow these same footsteps." I just give a brief example. There's a kid. He's part of the family, and he's fallen on the wayside. He's doing some really bad things, and I tell him, "Hey, this is why we do what we do, so you don't end up in that situation.
That's
You
right.
need to know what's going on in the real world. You need to know how these people are. Now, everyone is your friend. You got seasonal people coming in out of your life, and you have to understand how to navigate this world because not everyone is going to be as nice as me and your mother. But some people don't have your best interests at heart. So it's up to us to explain to you how this real world works. So when you grow up, you will be ready to handle these situations. So that's how I talk to them. So for me, it's all about guidance,
I think
guidance, and
that's good.
explaining what's going on.
I think that's good, Jeff, because I think I never try to hide the real world from the kids. You got to see both sides of it, and you've got to make good decisions. And we hope that we poured enough into you that for you to make those good decisions. But I see some parents try to shelter their children from the real world, and I don't think that's helpful at all. I think let them see it. They've got to make their own decision on what they want to do and how they want to live their lives.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Let's see. I know past the time coming up, so I got one more question, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap this on up. What is your greatest success as a father so far?
Oh.
For me,
Um.
for me, it's my greatest success is to see all of our children graduate from college.
Hmm.
Well, Jeffrey just graduated eighth grade. He's going to high school.
Hmm.
He's making honor roll, and he's a blue belt in Taekwondo. So he's doing well. So I'm proud of that, and he doesn't get in any trouble. He's respectable, um, well mannered. So I'm proud of that.
And can I just add one more thing, and then I got to go. Um, every year, for our state congress of Christian education, you all know I serve as the dean. So every year they have my annual day, which is that Tuesday of that week. And so what I've done is each year I've asked one of the children to introduce me. And you want to talk about some of my proudest moments is listening to your children introduce you, not talking about your academic degrees and about where you work and your positions and stuff, but talking from their heart about what you have meant to them. I remember the year that Quentin did it a couple of years ago. Like the whole place was literally in tears by the time he got finished because and you sometimes you don't know that you made such an impact on your children the way that they did. And I think that those are my proudest moments to hear them introduce me and speak from their heart about who I am and what I mean to them.
Real quick, my biggest success is my daughter's still alive. Praise God.
Praise God. That's
Praise
right.
God, absolutely.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up real quick. My closing is fatherhood isn't about perfection; it's about presence. It's about showing up, learning, growing, and loving your children through every season of life. So I appreciate you two gentlemen for coming on. I appreciate everybody for watching this episode. This is the very special Father's Day episode of Fatherhood Unfiltered Part 2. And this is under the inner verdict. That is my new podcast where I just get in deep in your business. So I appreciate you gentlemen for coming on. If y'all ever want to do it again, because I got way more questions, we can do another one. So I'll leave it up to you.
All right. Thank you for
I
having us. And
appreciate
thanks,
y'all for
thanks,
coming
Jeff,
in.
for sharing.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
thanks, guys. That was fun. Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
going to come back.
All right.
All
Me
right.
too.
Well, you two
All right,
gentlemen have a
brothers.
good evening.
Have a great night.
Take care,
You too.
guys.
All
All
right.
right.
All right.